guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela, and welcome back to hashtag Decan Walk 2023. I've been following since the beginning Marlena Teresa Decan Walk, and I gotta tell you, the first two fire signs about killed me. Because I tapped into this energy that I didn't realize I could tap into. And it was just flames. We're now in, as of yesterday, I think it was the 13th. Yeah. We are in Scorpio Decan 3. Here's the map, or wheel. Let me find it. Scorpio. Starts November 13th to the 22nd. It is the Seven of Cups. And up until midway through Decan 2, I did not realize. I knew it was water. But I felt like, not even that I was drowning. Like, the fire has been put out. But now the waters are receding. And all you're seeing is trash and gunk and dysfunction. So all three of these decans, to me, basically Scorpio as a whole, to me, feels very much not like you're drowning, but there has been a flood. And not all of it great. So yeah, it's just been crazy. So we have the Seven of Cups, which is usually a card of choices. I find it fascinating because I'm following along with the 36 Secrets by T. Susan Chang. See how far we're into this book now. Yeah, we're pretty far into it. I just found it fascinating, the things she said in this book. And I'll show you a couple cards that kind of confirm that later. But I find it interesting because this decan is they call it the Lord of Debauch, Mortal Beauty. The decan ruler is Venus in Scorpio. Venus, as we know prior to, is the Empress. And as it's been throughout all three of these decans, Scorpio is represented by the Death card. And I find it very fascinating that whatever card is over here, Death negates that. It's almost like whatever good is trying to come through here, and this is how it felt every Scorpion, every decan. Whatever good is trying to come through here, Death is like, nope, not happening. So it's almost like they're playing off of each other, and nobody's winning. And I said that, I think, in the last decan, or maybe the first decan of Scorpio. But it's like nobody's winning. And then I find it interesting because she went on a whole thing about the Seven of Cups. Not only is it about choices, but it's also about the choices in excess. And I found that fascinating because just like if you pick out a movie, if you have so many ways you can stream a movie, you find that you get bored and you don't know what to watch. And that's how I often see the Seven of Cups, is the too many choices. And sometimes with too many choices, we make the wrong choices. Which is how I see this decan. So, I've been using also, just to have a thought perspective, my Journey of the Sacred Bee. We have the Death here, which has Scorpio in the corner. We have the Seven of Cups, which is, in this specific deck, the keyword is seduction, which I thought was interesting. And then the Empress here with the Venus symbol here. I just find it interesting. There's words I've never heard of when it came to the Seven of Cups, like debauchery, or seduction. And it almost feels like a dance between life and death, especially with Empress being one of bringing life, and then the death card being the final moment. And I just found that interesting, that there's an interesting entanglement there. That's the word I was looking for. So I'm going to read you a little bit what it says in the book, which I found it fascinating. There's not that many pages, but it was cool. The mysterious Seven of Cups, sometimes dreamy, sometimes squalid, always enigmatic. What happens when you introduce the Empress, Venus, to death, Scorpio? What transpires in the encounter between Ens and Thanatos, Dove and Serpent? What Freud called the sex drive and the death drive. The ending hinted at in the Six of Cups is now here. That which we consider beautiful is beautiful not despite its mortality, but because of it. The perfection of a rose, or a ripe avocado for that matter, dissipates swiftly. How does one pursue beauty in its dying hour? Do you seek to transform it into something new? Do you try to preserve it as it was? How you react in the face of that terrible mortal beauty is the subject of this card. And then it says the fallen beauty. The hermetic title of the Seven of Cups is the Lord of Debauch, or illusory success. And I found that very interesting too. It's giving you the illusion of success, but maybe not in the way you wanted it. And I found that interesting. In contemporary English, we more often say debauchery, which suggests pleasure pursued to the point of compulsion, lust slaked, beauty despoiled, perfection corrupted. This decan belongs to Venus, but it's in the Mars-ruled sign of Scorpio. In the signs of Mars, Venus is in detriment, and vice versa. Her powers to claim and beguile may fall or project an air of desperation or take on a self-destructive cast. If you've ever seen how the office Christmas party ends, drunken, stumbling, smeared mascara, regrettable hookups, you've seen that side of the Seven of Cups. And I find it interesting because when she explained that part, it made me think of the movie Bedazzled. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but the movie Bedazzled, cannot remember anybody's name right now, where the girl is the devil and she's trying to buy him. Basically, he's selling his soul to the devil, and she gives him so many choices, and she keeps messing him up, and she takes him to this nightclub that's all hopping, and everybody knows his name, and everybody's falling all over him. And then in the light of day, he goes back, and they're just like partied out, and they just want to stop, and they can't, and their mascara is running, their clothes are ripped, they just look like they've been through hell. That is the image that came to mind when she said that part about the Seven of Cups. I'm like, I totally get it. Totally get it. Anyway, debauch then is a misguided effort to cling to a glamour whose moment has passed. And that's exactly like what I said about the movie. Like, the glamour was, there was a glamour over the fact that it was kind of like her minions or whatever. And, they were pulling one over on him because they weren't really like that in the light of day. Debauch then is misguided effort to cling to a glamour whose moment has passed. Blousy, overblown roses, cosmetic surgery. In that fantasy world, a seeker can fall into addiction's endless seeking. The trap of fetishizing the sensation of the high rather than its rise and fall through time. From this, you can derive the negative interpretation set of this card: escapism, obsession, hangovers, and promiscuity. And I find it interesting because Marlena brought up the word hangover as well. And I'm like, is it? Apparently the Seven of Cups is considered the hangover card. And while I'm saying this, the deck I immediately came to mind was the Housewives Tarot. With the Seven of Cups, she's got all these choices, and of course, they're all alcohol. And then the Neo Tarot, Feminine Tarot, also, it's like a 50s housewife also. Kind of get the same vibe here, where I think these colors are gorgeous, but she's got all these choices, and it's all alcohol, which I found interesting. And then we got the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot. This card actually haunts me. Because if you look at his face, it's almost like a flea market. And he's got this beguiling look on his face, like, come and taste my wares, but they may not be as all they seem. I feel like. And that's what I feel like in this specific card. This is one of my favorite Seven of Cups. Just because he's got pendulums and all this cool stuff hanging out, but just it almost feels like otherworldly, this card. Like, and I've had this before where I've had dreams of flea markets all coming together from different worlds. And that is actually what I see in this card as well. Like, this is another world, and he's like inviting you in to this apex, this moment. And I just find that interesting. But anyway, and then I found this interesting. It says, as Patrick, she's talking about different Seven of Cups and different cards. And it says, as Patrick Valencia, creator of the Deviant Moon deck and my favorite Seven of Cups, says, from the artist, the duality of his subconscious and conscious minds act together to conceive an altered version of reality. So it's almost like this, where there's this alternate universe or alternate reality. And I just found that super fascinating for that card. I don't know if I want to read anymore. Yes, the living dead, which I found this fascinating. Historically, the deacon signified not just clinging to jaded beauty, but also seizing reluctant beauty. Picatrix specifically mentions fornication and sex with unwilling women. Drunkenness, fornication, passion, violence, and lawsuits. At best, we are talking about assault here. At worst, rape. Like the Aries deacons, the Scorpio deacons have a temper. But unlike in the Aries deacons, here, sex and nakedness are something of a theme, desire gone awry. Perhaps a better metaphor for the disturbingly charismatic world of debilitated Venus in Scorpio's dark palace is the legend of the vampire. Scorpio is a sign of fixed water, an apt metaphor for the blood charting its one-way course through our veins. The vampire's bite, like a syringe, a hypodermic, or a tattoo needle, calls to mind the martial specialty of piercing. As with the scorpion's venomous sting, an exchange of life-transforming fluids takes place. Surely the dangerous allure of vampires was at one level a Victorian confrontation with the real fear of death. It was an age that fetishized, that word again, mourning, apparel, comportment, prescribed accessories, degrees, and periods of bereavement. Perhaps we see the shadow of the obsession darkly mirrored in the Dracula archetype. In the Six of Cups, we spoke of life itself as the golden hour. To embrace the transitory nature of the golden hour is to embrace rites of nostalgia and mourning. But in the Seven of Cups, perhaps we deny death his due. Vampires who walk the night and shun the day offer an unnatural extension, an artificial closure whose crowning act is a kiss of death. Perhaps in Scorpio, Venus leads her romance and glamour to the death drive, giving birth not to beautiful children of the day, but ghastly children of the night. And I thought that was stunningly written. The takeaway: when you draw the Seven of Cups, take a deep breath and prepare yourself for powerful warnings and promises. You may find yourself in an emotionally ungrounded state in which good judgment seems to have absented itself and imagination has taken the reins. Enjoy the fairy gold, but don't mistake it for the real thing. Procrastination, escaping into fantasy worlds, seeking out altered states of consciousness, these are some of the temptations of the Seven of Cups, and there is probably no harm in indulging them a little. However, bear in mind the potential cost the hangover, the walk of shame, the amends for something you did when you were out of your head. If despite your best efforts you wake up floundering in the debris of choices that glittered like gold the night before, remember that the ultimate power of the Seven of Cups is to transform what is broken, spent, and corrupted into something new and beautiful. Have a strong coffee and pick up the paintbrush, the pen, the guitar. The way to reap the Seven of Cups treasure is to pay your tribute in the form of art, paint, write songs, make music, poetry, dance. Pay attention to your dreams and fashion them into art, for reality is only what we make of it. And I thought that was stunning. Then we have the poem that she puts in all of the ends of the Decans. It says, To the Snake, 1958, Denis Levertov. Green snake, when I bring you round my neck and stroked your cold, pulsing throat, as you hissed to me, glinting arrowy gold scales, and I felt the weight of you on my shoulders, and the whispering silver of your dryness sounded close at my ears. Green snake, I swore to my companion that certainly you were harmless, but truly I had no certainty and no hope, only desiring to hold you for that joy, which left a long wake of pleasure as the leaves moved and you faded into the pattern of grass and shadows, and I returned, smiling and haunted, to a dark morning. That's beautiful. Anyway, that is my Decan. I went crazy deep on this. I really didn't get into the Death card or the Empress because I've gotten into those deeply in other Decans. And I really just found myself immersed in the Seven of Cups and just really looking at all of its possibilities and all of its meanings separate from the word choices, because that's usually the only thing I see in the Seven of Cups. I'm seeing the Seven of Cups in a whole new light now, which is the whole reason I'm doing the Decan walk, just to get deeper with the cards, right? So that is my hashtag Decan Walk 2023 Scorpio Decan 3. I cannot wait to get out of this water because the first two, I'm like, oh, water and emotions are not going to be my strong suit. And then the first one I was in, I was like, okay, I can handle this. And then this one came along and just swept me down the river, in a flash flood. And I had no idea what was going on until I was halfway through it. I'm like, yeah, we got to get out of this stagnant water, swampy, stagnant, gross water. That's what I feel like I'm wading in right now. But that is my Decan. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And you all have a good night.